All right, we'll see if this works. Seems like the internet's okay on my side. Corey, what's up, dude? How you doing? Thanks for being patient. Standy, oh man, a fountain of positivity. A fountain of positivity. It just rains on us, just pours right out. Guaranteed he can't get it set up right. Dude, come on. You get it set up right every time. I just trying to make it fancy. And I had zero time to work on it. I'm in Yuma, Arizona, at Country Roads Retirement Home. Behind me, a beautiful mobile home that I'm staying in. I'm here for my grandpa's. Originally, I thought it was his 90th. It's definitely 85th tomorrow. So drove down from Scottsdale, Arizona to here to Yuma, and was getting it set up. The setup actually wasn't that big of an issue. It was trying to get my graphics and all this shit together because the weekend was crazy busy. Shout out to Jenny and Ken Walters. Got to hang with them a little bit, as most of you guys already know. And then got here. We've been in a scramble to try to get this thing up and rolling. But here we are. Let's hope we have it on the right settings. There it is. Souza, this show should be on your idea to go to the CrossFit games that you couldn't come up with on the other day. Dan, did you watch the show at all? All of those but the Super Bowl were my idea. Let's make sure we get it straight. Isabel Gomez, hello. What's up? Okay, go down to the bottom of these comments. Hey, Liberty. You mean the graphics you stall? See, told you. Wealth of positivity. I prefer the thumbnails on Souza's channel. Yeah, the DDC thumbnail. I also stole that too. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We'll chat a little bit about this weekend at Greg's. I'm curious about how CrossFitters will take what Greg's saying. It's so complicated when you first learn it that it takes so long to digest that I don't know how many people will really take that journey. Most people are like, oh, I really want to hear what Greg's going to be doing next in the fitness world. And truth be told, this whole entire philosophy on science has a little to zero to do with the fitness world, except for it's the overlay and the lens in which he views everything from in our world, and which brought him to the definitions of CrossFit, and which allowed him to look at the public health space and realize that there is something really wrong. And one of the quotes that I loved that Greg used this weekend is he's like, yeah, don't worry about it. We only found corruption in the places we looked. There's like this laughter amongst the crowd. It's like, because everywhere they looked, they found corruption. And I was talking with Seb on about it. And I was like, maybe we could get on a show and like start to digest some of this material together. But I know some of you guys out there would just clown on us for figuring it out live on the air. But it's really, yeah, Ken, what did you think, Ken? How much of that were you able to really allow to sink in versus it was tough to actually digest the material? The first time around, it's really hard. But if you really dig into it and you spend some time, you give yourself some patience, you can start to see it. And the more you see it, the more it connects. And the way that I like to describe it is it's like you're in an airplane. A lot of us really want to have this like linear line of learning, meaning like A leads me to B, leads me to C, leads me to D. And this part with the philosophy, scientific philosophy, the math that's involved in it, the linear learning is nearly impossible. And you're going to get really frustrated if you think about it that way. So for those of you guys that really want to dig into Greg's material, here's what I suggest you do. Think about it like you're in an airplane and you're flying over your hometown. The first time you're in the airplane and you're flying over, you might look out the window and not be able to identify much. Maybe like one landmark. You're like, okay, there's where that big lake is that is kind of close to where I live. Then the second time you're able to fly over it, maybe you identify a few more things. Okay, there's the football field, so I know that's the high school. Okay, there's the lake, and I know that that's north of the football field, so you can start to place in some more landmarks. By the third, the fourth, the fifth time, it's a little bit more detail. And by the fifth or sixth time, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, the millionth time you've flown over, you could easily point out and say, okay, there's that landmark, there's this, there's that, there's this, and the picture becomes much more clear. So for those of you guys that really want to start to dig into the material, give yourself some patience and make sure that you think about the learning in that way. It'll seem really abstract for a while, and then it'll start to come in more clear. Linear. I use that on. Dan Guerrero, how much of it is probability theory? Is that the whole lecture? It's 10 lectures, The first one is like the introduction to it. And I think about the third or fourth one down, you really start to get into like Bayes' theorem, and probability theory. Then you really start to dig in on the math and the algebra behind it. And for a lot of people, that's when you start to look around and it's like, oh boy, everybody's eyes are starting to glaze over a little bit. And the doctors, the scientists, the professors that are all there, like they love it. Like they start digging in and they start debating with them. And a lot of the people that are there because they're CrossFitters, they're affiliate owners, they're coaches, and they're there to see Greg. Like that's when that audience, it gets tough because they're like, holy shit, what is he even talking about? Can I just trust Greg and go along with it? Well, that's the thing, Judy. Hi, Judy, by the way. That's the thing. There's no there is no going along with it. Like when I was talking to Greg and it's like, okay, so what comes after this? It's more so he's really interested in like developing a curriculum for K through 12. So what he's doing with Broken Science, and what he's doing with this seminar is more or less just an education piece. And if you had to sum it up, it would be once you've gone through this, you know how to detect rot. Meaning when information is given to us, and you guys know this from COVID, the 6-foot rule, the one-way lines up and down Walmart and all that other crap that they put in that followed with trust the science. That's where the information that Greg is giving is really important. Because if you have a method in which to look through that lens through and say, this isn't science, this isn't measurable, this isn't repeatable, how does this make any sense at all? And you really start to dive in and break down what's going on, you realize that it's just all a bunch of BS. It's all just a bunch of BS. But it was absolutely amazing. Oh, fuck. This is going to suck. This is going to be an incredibly short show. I don't have anything to plug my computer in. We got 34%. Just an absolute shit show. It's all right. I only get about one good one in a month. The haters would probably say less than that. But the seminar in and of itself is really awesome. I suggest you guys go check out Scientific Irrationalism, written by David Stowe. Broken Science owns the rights to that book, and they are now the publishers of that book. If you want to go to see Greg's seminar, if you're interested in it at all, you need to pick up that book and you need to start reading it. Because if you do not familiarize yourself with some of the material ahead of time, you're going to be completely lost. Completely lost. So, yeah, I guess you guys are right. That'll be perfect, actually. We got a half hour out of this. We'll go ahead and go to the coffee pods and wads afterwards. And you guys could say you came from here, which then always boosts my ego. So I appreciate that. Okay, so we're diving right into the review, the CrossFit CEO review. If some of you guys watch the How to Grow the Sport of CrossFit, I had mentioned that I really wanted to do a review of Don, like what he's done, what he hasn't done. And I'm going to start here with just a video from an interview with him at the CrossFit Games right when he first got hired 2 years ago. So we'll play that first, and then we'll dive into a little bit of what he's done and what he hasn't done, and hope just disappeared. Now I'm back. All right, let's bring this up. You guys want to see something cool? I tried to get this transition in here. We'll see if it actually works. It didn't work. There we go. Boom. All right. Okay, so let me make this bigger. Struggle boss. This is at the 5-minute mark into this interview. The guy to the left is Stefan Roche. Stefan Roche, a longtime seminar staff member, flow master. He's been around for forever. Really good dude as well. Cole, are you okay? This is probably the nicest thing you ever said. I mean, I know it's completely sarcastic, but still, I'm going to take it. Ken Burns, yes, here is the book given, Scientific Irrationalism in Evolution in Science by David Stowe. Okay, so this was from right when Don got hired, and they're just discussing kind of what autonomy he has or what he doesn't have, and here we go.
The education, handling the affiliates, but really part of CrossFit are those 10 to 12,000 affiliates all over the world. Yep. Where do you start in leading a company like that?
Yeah, no question. So I think you touched on this, which is priority number one for me is listening and learning. You know, I've been fortunate to be a part of this ecosystem for the last 8 years, but I haven't been an affiliate owner. You know, I haven't seen the day in and day out. Look, our affiliate owners, our coaches, they are the heart and soul of this community. They are the ones who are changing lives every day. I've experienced it. Millions of other people have. And so I need to get out on the road. I need to spend time in the box. I need to ask questions. I need to listen. I need to open my mind. So, you know, that's first with members of the community. It's our team. You know, part of what's been so amazing this week is
You
getting
could be in a better spot.
I mean, what people. A gift in my first week. And so, and we have similarly these men and women, you guys, who have helped build this and shape it. And you know more about CrossFit in this community and the opportunities and our strengths and our challenges. And so that's going to be a big priority for me over the first 3 months, getting on the road, meeting with our team, meeting with members of the ecosystem, affiliate owners, coaches, and our partners who also play a really, really important role in helping bring CrossFit to more people.
I love that you put a number on it. 3 months to be able to wrap your head around it and at least know what's going on in all corners. That's great. When I first.
Okay, so you guys heard there, he spent 3 months listening, learning, and just trying to absorb everything about CrossFit. I would say it was probably more like 6 months. And here's the deal. The cohort of people that is really in his hip pocket that influences him, or the people that he's been spending majority of his time listening to, I really question if it were the correct influencers, if you will, right? We know that he's close with Matt O'Keefe and that whole cohort of people. He seems to be really tight with a lot of the agents in the space and other things like that. And as far as the listening and everything with affiliates, it doesn't seem like there was Natalie, Annette. But Annette was somebody who I believe he brought in and hired. I believe it was somebody he brought in and hired. So as far as listening and learning and stuff, you can only do so much of that until you're really taking in that information and then applying everything that you're using to craft your own vision and direction around it. If you just take in information for too long and you don't start formulating your own opinions or use that context just to better help yourself decide the initiatives that you want to run, then you end up into this whole entire, I'm listening to everybody and I'm just trying to please everybody all the time. And so he said 3 months there and that, and I would probably argue that it was close to 6 months. That's disturbing. He hired Annette. Well, just you guys wait. Finally, I could hop in and on the chat with no distractions thanks to the self-diagnosis hernia I got last night. Couch day in education. Lego. All right, Nick. Hope you heal up soon, buddy. So yeah, that is he was in the learning, listening phase, all that 3 months. We're gonna go back in now because at this point, Stefan's gonna ask him about what type of autonomy the Berkshire Partners, the board over there, is gonna give him. So we'll switch on over to that now.
Started CrossFit, we had a very vocal leader, founder and owner, Coach Glassman, and he rallied the troops, and he was very out front. You know, he left, and then there's been maybe a void, maybe a little bit of void in the leadership. Do you feel in your discussions with the board and the leadership that's here that they've
not a little bit of a void in the leadership, zero leadership, zero. And Eric Rosa was hardly a leader. I mean, that whole thing came in just under a total facade. There was nothing truthful about his position. There was nothing truthful about anything that they claimed as far as his ownership of CrossFit, his autonomy with the company. Yeah, no good. And exactly, Standy. He left more like he was forced out.
Given you a mandate, they've given you what you need to be able to do the hard work and to take the action that you need to get things done.
Yeah, without question. You know, I actually had an opportunity yesterday, so I spent obviously quite a bit of time with the board, kind of leading up to having the opportunity to join the company. I sat down with them. A couple of the board members were here yesterday, and we had a conversation. And they said, "Hey, Don, we want you and your team to feel like you have a blank slate to pull this thing forward. There are an incredible set of things that have been done. I mean, I can't imagine having a stronger foundation with a bigger opportunity. But they essentially said, you got a blank, you guys, you as a team, as a community, have a blank sheet of paper. You guys build it together. That is an amazing thing to hear, and a steep responsibility that, we got to take really seriously.
Absolutely. That's great.
Okay. So that was important. And you know what? This might be something that I should have listened to a little bit earlier, because if you guys remember, I was making the claim a lot that I don't think Don has enough or as much autonomy, meaning the ability to make decisions in the company, as I think we do. We think he does. And I was wrong. He does. And he said it right there, that he's basically been given a blank sheet of paper by the board to say, do what you need to do to build the team to make this successful. Like he said there, he gave credit to the foundation that was laid before him, which is always a smart thing to do as you're coming in, right? You got to honor those that came before you, because it was built without your presence, and now you're brought into a leadership position. So it's never good just to shit on the people that came before you, right? Now, who has been his hires, right? So he's given the blank sheet, he's got the autonomy, and here's what he's done. He's hired Jada Coons. That's the guy in his Land Rover that does the affiliate town hall meetings. Haven't seen much of him forward facing at all as far as his position. And I can't really put my finger on something that Jada Coons has done for affiliates that has been largely impactful. But then again, maybe I'm not aware of what his hand in the work that he's doing is happening in the background. We will say that they have monthly affiliate town hall calls for gym owners, affiliate owners. Can't say that those have been extremely informative. In fact, the last one, or second to last one, we have both just been about the CrossFit Games and what's going to happen with the season and what's going to happen with the athletes. There was some talk of the Open and some stuff that they're going to be doing for the affiliates in the Open, meaning like the kickbacks. They kind of teased that. They also talked about being able to have access to some other affiliate owners that are doing some cool stuff in the Open, so we could share ideas. They talked about getting some PDFs and different things that you could kind of download to print out and hang up at your gym to either make logging your scores easier, or how to sign up easier and stuff. And to me, that's kind of like, okay, that's a nice gesture, but that's nothing like huge. It's nothing huge. He hired Jenna Hawka, the CMO. Now, her job is forward facing a lot, so it's easier to put our finger on what she's done. And personally, I've seen that impact more with the videos that she's done, the people that they've hired. They've had the YouTube channel has had a lot more put to it. At the game, she really decided that she was going to lean in to try to create more community amongst third-party media, and that worked really well. Obviously, until the tragedy at the games and everything just completely went to shit. But that was a really good call on her part as far as getting everybody in the same room and trying to create some community amongst the third-party media, people like us and the rest of the people that had the access that was going to be at the CrossFit Games. He fired Justin. You guys remember Berg, the old director of the games, and brought back Dave. So we could credit at least Don being involved in that. I don't know if it was 100% up to his decision, but clearly he gave the go ahead on it, and he's the CEO. So we're going to have to go ahead and give him credit for hiring back Dave. Obviously, the CrossFit community had a ton to do with that because they were very outspoken about bringing him back. And he booted Frank. Or Frank booted himself because his licensing thing wasn't up to speed. That, by the way, I had sourced a couple of my friends, and you guys might take a guess who threw that one in there to remind me of that. And he raised affiliate fees. He started the CrossFit Athlete Council of the Block, the PFFA. That has more to do with sport than it does with affiliates. And gave Dave back the promotion to his job, meaning like allowed him to go back to that director position, which I don't know if he was originally supposed to come right back into that position, but I don't know. Is that giving him too much? He promoted Dave. Kenneth, what's up, dude? I could apply as D's nuts and get hired. Probably back then for sure. That would be a good guess, Augustus. That would be a good guess. But outside of the hires that he brought in there, as far as it goes for like affiliates, that's always the struggle. It's like, as an affiliate owner, and a lot of you guys are going to say, well, what does he do that impacts your gym every day? And if you watch the show, I had mentioned a lot of things as far as growing the pie of CrossFit ecosystem to help the affiliates. And I just don't see the same effort that they're putting into the CrossFit Games season at all happening on the affiliate side. I mean, the CrossFit Games, the structure of the season, what's going to happen to it, the conflict with the athletes, all these other things seem to take way more of CrossFit HQ's attention than the strength of the affiliates. The affiliates making more money, the affiliates having more resources to make themselves more successful in education. And what I mean by education is like the continued pushing of the L1 all over the place. The way that I see it is that the CrossFit L1 is essentially the entry point to affiliateship. And if that L1 isn't healthy, it doesn't have a lot of people taking it each weekend, and isn't continuously growing, that pipeline runs out. Because once you become the L1, you're like, I'm training, I'm super into it. The next advancement in that, or the upsell, if you're CrossFit, is going to be affiliateship. And so that's why I've said all along that the health of the L1, the health of seminars, can directly relate to the health of CrossFit, the company as a total, and the affiliates in and of themselves. So just to rehash the list a little bit, we had hired Jay DeCoons, hired Jenna Haka. He hired that new CFO too, which the jury's still out on what's going to happen there. You guys remember he was kind of the Chapter 11 bankruptcy specialist. And I was kind of, my prediction show, I was kind of thinking, is he there to do some due diligence to package it up for sale? Seems like it. What's going on with this font? What, you don't like the font? Come on, Jonathan Ortega. And the problem that I have with the leadership that we're seeing come out of CrossFit HQ, it doesn't seem like it has a backbone at all. Like literally at all. Like we don't see Don make any hard stands. You could say that the CrossFit whatever athlete council was like a hard stand against the PFAA, but not really, because he's not forward facing. We don't hear it coming out of his mouth. I don't really see him as like a strong leader, and it's just like, it's because he doesn't give you anything. He's trying to please everybody all the time, and that is like, dude, and like I said earlier, if Jesus is going to do it, you think Don's going to? Fuck no. You have to draw a hard line in the sand and say, listen, this is the direction we're going. This is what we're doing. You're either with us or you're not. And you're not going to, that's going to turn a lot of people off, but that's okay. At least you would have an opinion. You have a strong leader. And the other thing with that is, when I was at the CrossFit Games, when we go back into the athlete warm-up area, like you go down into this little like corral thing or whatever, Dave was there standing in front of the line where you come through the metal detectors. You have to show your little badge thing so you could get past the security so you could get into the room. And right on the opposite side of that was Dave. Every single morning, whether people were giving him an FU, whether people were giving him a hug, or whether people were just walking by and giving a nod, he was there. He was present. That had to have been a hard thing to do. That had to have been. Because you know that all these emotions that all these athletes have been feeling, and everything you guys have been seeing since the CrossFit Games coming out through Instagram and all the other shit that's been being posted, that was like turned up to a level 10 when people were back there, and it's all in person. And the way that I see a strong leader is that they own their mistakes. Nobody's ever going to get it right. You are going to make calls that are going to go wrong. Shit is going to happen. And whether it is your fault or not, as the leader of it, you just have to stand there. You have to take ownership, and you have to be available to those people that are underneath you, that you're leading. And in this case, it was the CrossFit Game athletes. And I didn't see Don down there until the very last day on Sunday. And it looked like he was basically forced down there because they were like, hey, dude, you're the CEO. You have to go down there and say something. And I don't have enough recollection to say whether that speech was good or not good. It would just be me kind of making it up. But I just remembered leaving feeling like that day, just like, what the fuck was that? You were better off not even saying anything at that point. And of course, as fate would have it, Sarah Cox, who was a sponsor for us at the games, got herself a nice little box up at the top, and lo and behold, right to the left of us was the CrossFit HQ box, and guess who was there the whole entire time? It was Annette and Dawn. So they were up there, they were present. They weren't just down with the athletes, they weren't just down there and being part of the community. It was more or less like, hey, we're just going to kind of hide out up here and just get through this weekend. At least that's the way it seemed from the outside in. So all in all, I think that if we want to start to lifting some constraints, you might need to change the leadership. And here's the thing, though. I don't think Berkshire wants the type of person that I described. I don't think they want somebody that's going to make hard decisions and just come in there and say, F you, we're going this way. And if you don't like it, so be it. You know, I think they like the whole trying to please everybody and smooth everything over and do this and do that. I think you're just going to end up getting the same shit results you're going to get all along. And so that I think that CrossFit is in a leadership crisis. And I think it's been in a leadership crisis for a long time, especially since the sale of the company, because I mean, we've had a slew of CEOs come through here. At one point, the CFO was the CEO at the same time. I mean, it's just been a mess. And internally, when you have that much shift of leadership, what ends up happening is everybody's in survival mode the whole entire time. Like, you have to have certainty inside the company for you to work, because if you're trying to align with your superior and stay in the good graces so you're not part of the next round of layoffs or the next round of firings, and then they switch out who your boss is, and then you don't know who the CEO is, and there's all this like secrecy around the direction of what's happening and why, like, it just creates everybody going into a self-preservation and survival mode in the company. If I'm focused on my self-preservation and impressing my superiors and at some point even kind of looking over my shoulder to my coworkers, how much productivity do you think is happening there? Like, how productive are they? Probably not at all. Because once the politics start to outshine execution in any company, and the internal politics with the team is in disarray, you're not going to be able to execute on anything you're trying to get done. You're not going to be able to produce anything out of there. Yeah. So Nick, reading a book about leaders being willing to be disliked. Can't help but think of Greg and Dave and their huge nuts. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have to, like, the courage to be disliked, right? Especially with how crazy this media space is in CrossFit. I mean, you have assholes like me and, you know, commenting on all your shit, and you got Hiller and you know, it's contentious. It could get crazy out there in the media space. And so you cannot be afraid to be disliked and make big decisions. Like, you're not going to please everybody. Dense updates CrossFit. We are in our local communities, but the brand itself may be lost. We're not edgy anymore. Yeah, definitely not as a total, not at all. We're no longer the contrarians and the rebels that it used to be. That is 100%. In about 9 minutes here, Pedro's show will be starting. So, okay, before I go, you guys want to hear this funny story? So all of us are coming down for my grandpa's 85th birthday, like I said at the beginning of the show, and all of us are staying in these different kind of like mobile homes here. The one that I'm out in front of right now is actually my parents'. Like, they bought it not that long ago, and will probably retire here and a couple other locations within the next like year or so. And so they're like, oh yeah, there's not enough room at this one, and the one where your brother and your cousin are at, we don't want to have you sleep on the floor, so we got you this little like casita. It's something in the back of one of my grandpa's friend's parents' trailers. So I'm like, okay, that seems cool. So it's got its own entrance, it's got its own door. I'm like, all right, this is pretty sweet. And they got a thing where like the door is like a slider, but on the other side of that door that separates the wall, that separates the casita, is their master bedroom. And I didn't realize last night that when that slider shuts and the thing goes, it doesn't actually seal at all. Like, you could still see the top of it open and everything else. I'm like sitting there and I'm about to get ready to like shower and use the bathroom and stuff. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, I could just hear them talk. And I peek around the side, and it's definitely just like in the same room as them. And it was really fucking weird. Matt Burns, that's the funny part of the story. Just going to bring myself to say it. So there you go. You guys have it at a comment. All right, well, 30-minute show because it took me fucking forever to set it up and piece of shit wasn't organized, and that's the story of my fucking life, juggling 1 million things at one time. I almost thought about not doing it at all today because I was like so scrambled, but we still got it in there. Got to chat a little bit about it. What are you guys up to? Battery check? Yeah. Yeah, dude. Right? I was like, I hope that's like a CPAP machine or the fan going or something. And I was like, I don't know. That seems fucking weird. Anyhow, you just put in your headphones, start watching YouTube for a little bit. Did you guys see the Zuckerberg episode with Rogan? It was crazy how everybody speculated that jujitsu basically turned him into a Republican. And when he was on Rogan, Rogan said, yeah, jujitsu turned you into a libertarian. And basically Zuckerberg admitted it. And he was like, yeah, it did. This was a portion of my life that was missing. I was surrounded by girls my whole entire life, and I grew up in the tech industry, which most of them are like beta dudes. And he started to learn jujitsu, and he grew a set of fucking balls. It's nuts. Part of me still think that that's just like some weird psyop thing, right? Thing get removed. Oh man, camera's all glitching out. Part of me always thinks that that's maybe like some psyop thing, you know? Like they just basically switched him out. He's an alien though. I know, right? Like that change just seems like too much. Natalie, me too. I don't trust him either. I don't know. The whole thing just seems like it could easily just be a weird thing. Like, hey, we're losing public interest and they don't trust you, and it's gone way too far left. And now people are like, dude, this guy's crazy. I'm getting off all of his platforms. And all of a sudden, hey, look at that. Sean, Sean Zuckerberg is still a pansy. Yeah, you can kind of see it. And so, yeah, that's it, Jenny. Like, how does that happen that fast? That's what I wonder too. It's like, you mean to tell me, he started doing jujitsu, started training Muay Thai a couple hours, and now all of a sudden he's like, could see clearly, could think clearly? Or do you think that this is also a possibility? Like maybe he was doing some of that stuff and the tide was trying to change and his thinking was changing a little bit, and then it felt a little bit safer to start to act that way because people were just so fucking sick of the woke agenda that he was like, hey, I could maybe say exactly how I feel now. So he just changes with the tide. Dude, Cole, that's exactly what yeah. It's almost like the trying to please everything as the leader, right? Which, Sean, kind of goes to what you're saying about him being a pansy. It's like he just basically felt more comfortable saying, oh, okay, shit, the tide's changing. Let's get on top of it. Like it could even be just like, let's just stay ahead of the curve. Or it could have been like, I feel more comfortable acting this way because the masses are becoming more comfortable with it. Either way, I also, something is up. Facebook is still censoring like crazy. I know. How long did it take Sevon? Yeah, like 10 years and a shitload of CrossFit workouts, right? Jonathan Ortega, nah, I think you get more confident and feel more comfortable in your body. I mean, that could definitely be true too. But it might just be my distrust for institutions at this point, especially ones that have been known to be censored. And now, you know what also is crazy too? The whole entire fucking everything's a conspiracy theory. The whole no, the government's not working with the tech companies. They're not censoring things. They're not meddling in elections. And then it literally just comes out, all of it just completely true, straight from the CEO's mouth. It's like, if you do not now realize that is some mafioso shit, to where they just roll over and they're like, hey, you need to change this, or you need to do this, or we're going to, like, bad shit will start to happen to your company, or we'll regulate you out of this, or whatever the case may be, whatever they were threatened with. That shit's nuts. And then just to find out, oh, by the way, it's all 100% true. Well, who's going to be held accountable for that? Nobody. Nobody's going to be held accountable for that. Just like nobody's going to be held accountable for how fucked up our public health system is. And just to round out the thing with Greg's seminar, there is a very high upside for taking the time to start to learn some of that material. It's frustrating. You're not going to get it at first. It's going to take a while, but if you do stick with it, it's like once you see it, you can't unsee it. You can't unsee it. Jody. Oops. Sorry. I'm late, Souza. Standy. Jody. Souza was late. Both of you guys are correct. Dana is the head of the modern day mafia. Damn, dude. Cole. You're kind of on to something. You mean because like Dana helped sway Joe to get Trump on, and Dana obviously had a big impact on Mark Zuckerberg as he talked about it. That's crazy, dude. You might be on to something there. I like it. We'll get out the tinfoil hat. Okay. I really appreciate the 80 or so of you guys, the 90 that had stuck on the show. Like, you guys definitely fucking deserve better. I should have this shit together. When I get back home next week, I will be more on top of it, like the last show, and more prepared. I love being able to really dig in and give you guys some really great stuff. So please head on over to Pedro now. Where should I start to check out BSI? Hannah B. Go to brokenscience.org. And if you go there, there's a whole ton of stuff that you could start to dig into. A whole ton of stuff you could start to dig into. So get into there. And then the book that I mentioned at the beginning, Dave Stowe book, Broken Science owns the right to that. So he writes to the book. So if you go on there, you could buy it right from Amazon and start to dig into that. Don denied donate more. That's right, Sevon. You beat him in the donations. Damn right. Damn right. Jeremy, enjoy your sleeping situation. I will be reporting back. There's one other one. Now he's on the meta board. Dude decides everything. Cole, I like that angle, brother. We're going to make that a topic of the next show for sure. Hey man, I'm buying a generic hair if I hit you up to talk on IG. Yeah, dude. Matthew, absolutely, please. Hit me up on IG and I'll give you my number. We'll talk. I got a couple parameters. That's a stupid word to say. I got a couple things that you want to look out for buying a gym. So that way you don't make any silly mistakes jumping at an opportunity like I did. Ken, thank you. Thank you. I'll be traveling back home on Thursday. Okay, guys, go over to Coffee Pods and Wads now. Peter will be starting a show over there. Tell him that I sent you over. Spam his shit. It makes him feel bad and makes me feel good. Vindicate launched a new website. Tomorrow we'll be having Greg Glassman on the show, 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Right after him, we're going to have Kenny Kane, who lost his gym and his house in the fires in LA. And we just had a conversation with him. Tyler and I did on the spin like a few weeks before that. Absolutely crazy. 20-year affiliate owner, been in the space a long time. So yeah, so you guys check that out tomorrow, but head on over to Coffee Pods and Wads now. It's bet to 4-week lead time until Souza calls you back. Probably longer than that, but depends on how low or high you are on the totem pole and how interested in what the conversation has been. And I'm going to be pretty interested in buying gyms, so it might only take 2 weeks to call you back. All right, guys, peace out. Have a great day. Bye-bye.